So I just had a guy tell me that the economy is booming and that the only reason people are struggling is because they're not working hard enough. Yep, so for all of us struggling, we're just not working hard enough. Does this guy realize that today there are people who are making 30 to 50,000 more dollars a year than they were making 3 to 5 years ago, but they are struggling more today than 3 to 5 years ago? Has this guy walked through a grocery store? Has he seen the price of chips? Has he seen the price of cereal? Has he seen the prices of anything? Does he realize that we have elderly who, in order to put food on the table, are having to go work at Walmart even though they're 80 years old? Does he realize that people who are in their 30s and 40s, who do have a job, who do have a good career, have moved back in with their parents because they can't afford the price of rent and they can't buy a home right now because the interest rates are so high and the prices of homes are still high? And then you add on property taxes, and then you add on home insurance. People can't afford that. And it's not as simple as go get a better job, go get a second job. It's not that simple. Telling a mom like me to go get a second job when I'm already working a full-time career and I already have a 2-hour commute every day, I don't have time for that. Okay, so what? I go get a second job and now I'm never with my children? How is that worth it? Oh, and now I have to go pay more daycare expenses? How is that worth it? Okay, we have a lot of people in this country, in this world, struggling, and the answer is not to bury your head in the sand and act like nothing's going on. Do not tell me the economy is booming. The economy is not booming when people are struggling the way they are. And when I mean people that have good jobs, who have good degrees, who have 2 incomes coming in their house, and the family is still struggling. That's not a booming economy.
Shalom. Like to say, call on Allah, Yahweh, Hashem, Yasharahla, Hashem, Prakadash, the honors of the Apostle, Elsewhere, Millstone, Peace, Citation, Hope for Allah. As you can see in that first video, where that Edomite woman was complaining about how this economy is not booming because technically this inflation is still high and it's pretty much increasing, you know, when it's coming to the prices of food in the supermarkets, and when it's coming to the prices of homes, and even just the prices of rent, it's pretty much at an all-time high. And it's so bad to the point where people can't even afford rent and they gotta go back and live in their mom's crib and things of that nature. And when we're talking about rent in New York City, it's like rent is so goddamn high. You know, you're just better off owning a house, you know, at that point, and trying to, like, you know, living to pay off the mortgage, and just like renting out to people that are seeking for like a room or so, or seeking to buy, let's say, a part of the floor, you know, to pay it off, like, you know, a certain amount each month, or things of that nature. But anywho, I want to get into this article right here. It talks about cbsnews.com. I'll put the link in the description. It talks about food prices are rising at the highest rate in decades. Here's where that money goes. So it says, even as U.S. inflation moderates for millions of Americans, every trip to the grocery store is a pain in the pocketbook. Supermarket prices have shot up at the fastest rates in decades, putting staples like eggs and bread out of reach for some. Over the past 2 years, egg prices have nearly doubled, leading some consumers to extreme workarounds like trying to smuggle eggs from Mexico and paying Easter potatoes instead of dying eggs to save on the household funds. Meat, fish, and chicken are substantially pricier than they were 2 years ago, as well as cereal and bread, which cost nearly 25% more today than they did in 2021. Groaning at the grocery store, except for produce, the cost of every category of food has shot up faster than overall consumer prices. So as you can see in the chart right here, it shows you that you know, for cereals, bakery products, meat, fruits and vegetables, poultry, fish and seafood, eggs, dairy, and you know, just shows you how the prices just skyrocketed. You know, in 2003, it seems like it went down slightly, but it's almost damn near 80%. And then it says, so where does the money from those price hikes go? A report from the Government Accountability Office this week breaks down the various pressures on food prices while putting the recent inflation into context. So it's like price hikes hit the gas food inflation between 2021 and 2022 was multiples higher than its average over the past 20 years. So you can see the change from April 2021 to 2022, the same month, April, just basically a year difference. It shows you that the eggs went from 3.2% to 22.6%. It's like majority, some of it looking like, when you look at fats and oils, poultry, beef and veal, pork, fish and seafood, cereals and bakery products, it's to the point where it's like the inflation is going from a single digit to a double digit number. And shit, non-alcoholic beverages, dairy products, sugar and sweets, they're damn near double digit itself. They're damn near 10%. Even fruits and vegetables, 2.0 to 7.4%, as you see in the chart. So yeah, and Esau, being the devil he is, of course he's gonna make beef and poultry a little bit more expensive than he makes pork. Because a lot of people figure that pork is like a cheaper substitute when it's coming to meat. And even seafood, he makes it cheaper as well. And the only seafood that you're supposed to eat is certain kinds of fish that have fins and scales. If the fish don't have fins and scales, whatever it is that's in the sea that don't got fins and scales, the scripture says you're not supposed to eat that. And let me see, it says, let me continue on. According to the GAO, there were kinks all along the journey of food from farm to plate. Higher costs for animal feed, fertilizer contributed to steeper prices for farmers, while shortages of packaging materials impacted the food process stage, such as when peanuts and ground up to make peanut butter. The GAO also broke down the various segments of food production and their role in the price of items on the shelf. The largest component was food processing, a segment that encompasses food and beverage manufacturers, which took 25 cents out of every food dollar. That was followed by retail trade, the store, the supermarket, or other retailer that sells consumer that peanut butter. The cost of actually growing the food, called farmer production, accounted for just 14 cents, while agribusiness, which includes the producers of fertilizer that feed that farmers buy, took another 5 cents, contributed to the food price. So it shows you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can't really see the percentages there, but 5 shows 4.0%. So it goes into like this little look like a pie chart, but it shows like the what is the contributor to the prices of food. So the reason why food prices are expensive is because of the food services, legal and accounting, the advertising, finance and insurance, the packaging, the energy, agribusiness, transportation, farm production, wholesale trade, retail trade, and food processing. So yeah, so those are all that goes into it, and plus when it's coming to farmers, I remember at one point when it was during the time of the pandemic, you had it to where farmers were mentioning how it costs a lot of money for them to even feed their farm animals, and eventually, that's where it all starts, with the price hikes, because if it takes a lot for farmers to feed their animals, then it's like when they eventually get those animals slaughtered and butchered, it's going to eventually lead to those prices soaring, because of the fact that like it costs so much to feed the animals that they are pretty much raising, and even the cost to take care of them as well. So all that eventually plays a part into why it will be so expensive to sell those farm animals body parts once they start getting going through the process of being butchered and things of that nature. This article right here in the 2023 housing market in 5 charts, it says 2023 housing market in 5 charts by Stacker.com, April 10, 2023, Elena Cox. It says the White House, the once white hot housing market may finally be starting to cool, but it's not a buyer's market just yet. As mortgage rates and home prices remain high, potential home buyers are deciding not to take the plunge, mostly due to a lack of affordability. But with the U.S. short about 6.5 million homes, according to one analysis, economists project that lack of supply will keep things mostly in sellers' favor until next year at least. Home buyers should prepare for a buying environment that is more relaxed than years past, but with different complications, said Nicholas Schoolis, manager of housing economics at Zonda, a real estate data firm. Highly desirable properties like those in good school districts or offering good value propositions will still face stiff competition. Stacker cited data from Redfin and U.S. Census Bureau to visualize and explain the shortage of U.S. homes for sale and what that means ahead of peak home buying season. So it says home prices remain elevated. Median sale price up slightly in February after peaking in May 2022. So yeah, from 2012 it was 150K and then it sparked up to damn near 450K in 2022. So it seemed like it was like around 43,000 or 40, somewhere around that amount. And then it started to kind of like pike down just slightly down to like 380,000 or so. So it's like, maybe like going near 2023. But yeah, it shows you that how expensive these homes are. And it says, while home prices have dropped slightly in recent months, the median sale price is more than double what it was a decade ago, reaching $386,527 in February. And with mortgage rates higher, that's also eating into buying power. Sellers are still trying to get top dollar for their homes, though, and those high listing prices will result in fewer bidding wars and even some price reductions. And it says affordability is the number one issue limiting the market at the moment, said Schoolis. On the other hand, due to the low supply, prices may not drop as much as buyers are hoping or expecting. Home prices rising faster than income. It shows another chart right here. The median sale price doubles as wages fail to keep up. So it shows the income growth is, growing at a very slow rate. And that woman was talking about in the article, in the video, about how, when it's coming to income, like it's growing over the years, but it's like everything around you still like going up. So it's almost like you ain't hardly making anything out of it. And it seems as though it's like when the income was lower, the ironic thing about it is that you could still afford more things back then than you can now. So it shows you that it's just all just a play with numbers. And that's part of that strong delusion that a lot of people are in, that they believe in those lies. And that goes to show you that it's really done for this fucking place. And it goes into this part right here. It says pretty much about how high income earners rented more than a decade ago. So it says rents rise, and there's a chart that shows with it as well in this article. It says rents rise as fewer people can buy. The lack of housing for sale and rising sale prices have forced more people to rent overall, but the most significant increases have been seen among Americans earning $50,000 or more a year, according to U.S. Census Bureau data. This includes people who have never owned a home, and also those who would hold on to their homes and rent them out rather than committing to a monthly payment with higher interest rates. At the same time, baby boomers refer to age in place instead of going to an assisted living facility, with some holding on to their homes for longer and others choosing to rent a more manageable home or apartment. Builders have taken notice and responded by putting up more luxury buildings these new renters can afford in lieu of affordable options. After dropping during the COVID-19 pandemic, rents are now growing faster than single-family home prices. Americans are moving back to the cities, and landlords are raising rent to make up for lost money. But with hybrid schedules becoming more common for white-collar workers, there has also been increased competition for rentals in the suburbs. So far this year, The most competitive rental markets are in northern New Jersey suburbs, which include Hoboken and Newark, according to a Rent Cafe report released in March. So that's a lot of information I went into. So without further ado, I'll bring out some scripture, Lord willing, and make this lesson edifying. And one thing about our people is like when it's coming to this whole thing of like mourning because of the struggles that our people be going through for day to day, in our daily lives. It's like we don't have it as good as these other nations have it, but we've been at the bottom for so long. And when it's coming to these other nations, especially Esau, they've been on the top. So it's like now they're starting to see what it really is in terms of being oppressed. So it tells you in Lamentations chapter 1 verse 1, it says, how doth the city sit solitary that was full of people, how is she become as a widow? She that was great among the nations and princess among the provinces, how is she become tributary? She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers she have none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her, they are become her enemies. Right? And this is basically going into talking about the nation of Israel, starting with Judah, because Judah is the most oppressed tribe. So verse 3 says, Judah is going into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen, she findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. So yeah, because ever since the time of the let's say that Renaissance period, that time when these Edomites started gaining power, they started to go as far as oppressing, starting with another kingdom. They took them down, from Gad and Reuben, and then the Latino and Hispanic tribes, started getting taken down as well, and then eventually translated along to the southern kingdom. How the nation of our people, like we all just eventually got afflicted and went into captivity. And even then, it's like we still serve in captivity to this day because these devils don't want to let us go. It's like you become an American citizen and you work like your ass off almost your whole life, and then it's like even at an old age, there's old people that can't even fully retire and enjoy their retirement, so they gotta continue to work like, let's say, a part-time job or so just to get by. So verse 4 says, the ways of Zion do mourn, because none cometh to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate, her priests sigh, her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. So you see, the funny thing is, like, our people, we've been going through these things for years. Like, we're talking about like centuries at this point, and then the funny thing is, on the bright side now, this is the magic of prophecy, because now check this out, these other nations, they're catching the same hell too. And it tells you that in Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 7, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So that video that was brought up by this brother that goes by Arrows of Indignation, I'll post that video in the link description. But he's basically like bringing out information on different videos where he brings out, like, let's say a minute or 2 or 3 minutes of a clip that shows people spitting certain facts or things of that nature. So basically it's pretty much good to do like video topics on, brothers need to do video topics on certain videos regarding certain prophecies. It's one of the good channels to pretty much get that inspiration to do so. But yeah, man, like, when it's coming to these other nations, they're starting to catch the hell now. And honestly speaking, this is what happens when you have Esau being the devil. This is what happens when you have him ruling, because now it's like a lot of people are just really starting to catch the oppression that the nation of our people have been going through for all them years. And I wonder if these people are going to still be stupid enough to think that you have to eat 3 meals a day to get by your day-to-day life, which is some damn foolish nonsense. Because all you really need is just 1 meal a day. And I mean, and yeah, whatnot, you could have some like little protein, like little snacks or so, like to get you by if you know, working out or things of that nature, you know, and you need protein to build muscle. Yeah. But eating like a whole 3 square meals a day, that shit is just unnecessary. And especially with all these food prices going up, you know, these people that grew up with that mindset of eating 3 meals a day, they're gonna eventually be forced to fast. And it tells you in Revelation chapter 6, verse 4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. That's pretty much talking about Esau taking peace away from the earth, you know. Because at one point in the 90s, the 80s, you know, 2000s, it was a, you know, time where you could rent in New York City, like, let's say, apartment for like maybe, you know, 500 to maybe nearly 1,000. You know, you could rent out, like, let's say, a house or things of that nature. You know, work, let's say, about maybe like making minimum wage or so, you know, and still like buy a decent amount of food for the house. But it's like over time, it's like people don't have the luxury of doing that no more, you know, and seeing that how the middle class is like shrinking, it's like safe to say at this point we don't even have a middle class anymore. And if the Edomites are feeling this pressure of them losing out on the American dream, that how it's not even a thing anymore, how much more that when it's coming to the nation of our people, you know, how much more like we going through this shit. Because Jake been at the bottom for quite some time. Eventually, like when it's coming to Revelation chapter 6, might as well bring up verse 5. It says, and when he has said, come, open the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And eventually, you know, pretty much that's gonna come to take place on this earth, where you're gonna have it to where a day's wage is gonna be equivalent to the average grocery bill. So basically, like, the minimum wage is gonna be, you know, like how much you make in a day. That's gonna hardly even support how much you you know, food you buy in the grocery store, things of that nature. And that's how high the inflation is gonna, you know, is gonna get to that point. And that's why in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 2, it says, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. So yeah, these people, they're starting to see what it's like to be in the house of mourning, you know, because at one point in time, you never used to see an average Edomite complaining about, you know, the economy or how things is like not going in their favor. You know, things is like pretty much easy for them at one point, but it's like now things are starting to get so hard for them. And I remember at one point growing up, I never used to see a homeless Edomite until I was like probably like around in high school, like probably like the 11th or 10th grade or so. But yeah, and that shows you right there that how this society is like, it's on its way out. And in Amos chapter 8 verse 10, it says, and I will turn your feasts into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation, and I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head, and I will make it as the mourning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. So yeah, the Lord promised that like this is what's gonna take place, you know. He's gonna turn all your feasts into mourning. All the times that you people been taking pleasure in being wicked, all the time that you people been taking pleasure of being rebellious and sinful in America, all that shit is gonna come upon you, and eventually you're gonna have to pay back for all the wickedness that you did. And when the Lord brings that destruction, you know, you people are gonna be seeking for answers. And let's continue on. It says, verse 11, behold, the days come and say the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro, seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. So they're going to be running to seek the word of the Lord, and they can't find that at all. And it says, in that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. So you're going to have it to where even other nations of people are going to be trying to seek for answers too, you know. And 2/3 of our people, most definitely, they're going to be trying to seek it. Because in a time of, let's say, misery and destruction, people are going to be seeking why these things are happening, and they're going to want to understand why. And for brothers that's been laboring in this truth, it's like, you know, the Lord is going to pretty much raise up our vibration to a whole nother level, to where for us that have been in this thing, scriptures say that how the Lord's gonna give us fame in the same land that he put us to shame. So all the humiliation we had to deal with in our day-to-day life before and even while we was in the truth, having to deal with these fucking bugged out ass GMO people, you know, the shenanigans of these 2/3 and these heathens and these devils, like which these devils like Esau, they're the worst heathens to deal with. But yeah, us having to go through all that bullshit, like, at least in the end, we're going to be in a better case because we was prepared, you know, spiritually. And the Most High put us through that furnace of adversity, dealing with these fucking GMO people, and then going through other battles along the way as well. Pretty much is preparing us for the times to come. These people, they over here in their comfort, bitch and complain about any little issues that they go through. If they act so feminine about that, you know, how much more when the Most High really increases that temperature, like when he really starts to manifest the prophecies going into how he's going to destroy this place, and going into how, you know, he's going to judge this place on a whole nother level, like in Daniel's 12th chapter, because it's going to be a time that never was since there was a nation. So these people, they're going to have a lot to answer for in that time. And in that time, that's when these people are going to really try to be humble. And yet it's like they're still going to have to do wickedness to get by, to survive. And the Lord said in, I believe, in 2nd Ezra 16th chapter, even though they're going to try to do wickedness, you know, to try to, you know, survive, he's going to still judge them. And right now, how these people are trying to be in the house of mirth, how they're trying to like enjoy, you know, being wicked and things of that nature, to the point where it's like when you teach it out on the street corner, these people got a problem. They want to give you all those nasty looks, you know, when you pretty much are standing on their favorite street corner and teaching the truth. But it's like very soon they're gonna be in the state of feeling ashamed for acting like that and for looking at you like that, and then eventually they're gonna start trying to run to you, trying to beg you for answers. You even have it to where you got some prideful, nasty Edomite bitches looking at you a certain type of way, like they want to slap you or something because of you teaching the truth. Let them keep that same energy in that time of Jacob's trouble. Because these motherfuckers don't know what they got coming to them. Especially these women. So with that, hope may let's edify. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai Yahweh. Bashim Shalom Lakev Shabbat Shem Kakadash. Double honors to Apostle El's Great Millstone. Peace, citation, hope, elect, Shalom.